Did.
Yeah, we'll see if they'll leave the morph as well going into this one. But a big one for Gaimin Gladiators is they love IOLesh still. This is a strat they've been running pretty much all year long, and even though it's gone through multiple nerfs at this point, it's still something that Gaimin will always pull out of their pocket if they need it.
Like personally, I feel like Gaimin's like a playstyle is like very good against Tundra, because Tundra tends to be more greedy, and Gaimin tends to have a lineup where they always like try to hit like a maybe 20-25 minute timing, especially with like some IO-Lash. Even when they were playing Terrorblade yesterday, they had a lineup Terrorblade, TA Brute. You do not expect that type of lineup to actually just all of a sudden group together with their items and just push your tower. You know, the Terrorblade wasn't even farming in a way where it was efficient for his own game. He was playing more to pressure and take towers early, even though he's farming a lot less.
That is true. I think I view the game like there's like a lot of different ways to pressure. And for Gaimin, it's about pushing timings, Roshan, towers, and Tundra. Their type of pressure is like they're gonna pressure you by out farming you. So it's just like a really different approach.
And do you think that they have to try to adjust certain things to deal with the pressure that's coming out from Gaimin, because they are more or less the more greedy team here?
I think it's a lot draft related, but Tundra have shown that, you know, even if they're behind, even when we played against them, right, we're like not stomping, like we're doing well in the lanes, but they always like manage to find space to farm, and then they like minimize their deaths and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how AUI is going to be annoying to find space to farm, because we've seen him do it on the Visage, where he's like cutting creep waves with his familiars hovering. We've seen him do it on the Enchantress, which is also banned out. But Tundra opt for a first phase of Pugna Tiny.
I'm actually surprised they didn't pick the Morph, because Morph is also really, really good against the Timbersaw. But I guess it's just not their style.
Tiny
do you
isn't
think they're just worried of getting countered at 8? Like, they want to deal with like some Naga?
People even 5 pick it, like they don't really care. Like for example, the game before, right, the Quest, they just pick it. Generally, it's okay.
Tundra has actually been pretty consistently.
I'm actually surprised they didn't pick the Morph, because Morph is also really, really good against the Timbersaw.
Doing support duos or maybe 30.
But I guess it's just not their style.
Skitter gets saved.
Tiny isn't.
They're just worried
I don't think you can
getting
pick mini carries running in this patch outside of the
people even 5 pick it, like they don't really care. Like for example, the game
some
before,
games,
right,
those are like the
Quest,
3 that you can
they
pick
just pick
early.
it.
Other than that, if you don't have a good lane on the
Generally,
carry, then it's going to be very difficult to get into the
Tundra
game.
has actually been pretty consistent.
I'm actually surprised they didn't pick the Morph, because Morph is also really, really good against the Timbersaw.
Doing support duos or maybe 30.
But I guess it's just not their style.
Yeah, and it would be a good pick. I don't think you can pick mini carries, pick more of this patch outside of that hero, but Gaimin is a team that they don't look the best like the 3 that you can pick early. Other than that, you don't have a good lane on the carry, then he's been going to be very difficult to get into the game. Even though it is good in this patch, I've seen him lose on it, and I don't think he wants to play that hero more than anything.
But I guess it's just not their style.
Yeah, and it would be a good pick. I don't think you can pick mini carries, pick more of this patch outside of that hero, but Gaimin is a team that they don't look the best like the 3 that you can pick early. Other than that, you don't have a good lane on the carry, then he's been going to be very difficult to get into the game. Even though it is good in this patch, I've seen him lose on it, and I don't think he wants to play that hero more than anything.
But I guess it's just not their style.
Yeah, and it would be a good pick. I don't think you can pick mini carries, pick more of this patch outside of that hero, but Gaimin is a team that they don't look the best like the 3 that you can pick early. Other than that, you don't have a good lane on the carry, then he's been going to be very difficult to get into the game. Even though it is good in this patch, I've seen him lose on it, and I don't think he wants to play that hero more than anything.
But I guess it's just not their style.
Yeah, and it would be a good pick. I don't think you can pick mini carries, pick more of this patch outside of that hero, but Gaimin is a team that they don't have the best like the 3 that you can pick early. Other than that, you don't have a good lane on the carry, then he's been going to be very difficult to get into the game. Even though it is good in this patch, I've seen him lose on it, and I don't think he wants to play that hero where they play certain heroes with certain roles. Yeah, and it would be a good pick. You're just able to pick mini carries, pick more of this patch. I think that hero is always going to Gaimin is a team that they don't have the best like the play that hero. And maybe you'll temper playing like hero, but now you can now so it is probably like fast. Now they have like don't think he's like play foundation set up here. I think they need support to have some type of roles. You're just with these carries pretty soft. They want to hang around the map. Gaming they just need a little bit of stuff. That's like play that hero. Maybe you'll temper playing like hero, but now you can now so it is probably like fast. Now they have like don't think he's like play foundation set up here. I think they need support to have some type of roles. You're just with these carries pretty soft. They want to hang around the map. Gaming they just need a little bit of stuff. That's like play that hero. Maybe you'll temper playing like hero, but now you can.
And a lot of the reason is the Medusa and Morph is always banned, and Undying is usually
set up here. I think they have some type of roles.
Is Morph not going to get second phase banned?
I think both teams just don't want a hero at this point.
Gaimin might. I mean, both teams might play it actually.
Wasn't there a stat where it said like Morphling was the most contested hero of the major?
Yeah, it was earlier. Yeah. As of right now, I think Techies overtook him.
Okay.
But for the majority of the group stage, it was 100% contested. Oh no, never mind. He's still the highest contested.
And as far as Tundra's Morphling, they've only played it 3 times. And out of those 3 games, Skater has only won 1 time on that hero.
I think both of their carries are very similar. They don't really like to farm as much, so they like to play more like an active carry, like Bloodseeker kind of hero. So they don't really prioritize. Maybe if it's a really good game still, they might still consider it. But overall, I feel like they're not the teams that would immediately want to pick the hero early. And right now they have like a lot of magic damage with the Snapfire and Tiny Pugna. I think essentially against Timber, when the enemy opens Timber, I think it's really important for your side of the team to have a lot of magic damage so you can actually burst him in the early game. Yep. And that's what EG, they were kind of like actually Beast Coast, they were kind of doing with the SF opening against the Timber.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot to mention, actually, a lot of teams like to pick the Snap against the Timber.
Really want to pick the hero.
Even lane matchup?
And right now they have like a lot of magic damage with the Snapfire.
I think it has to be at this point.
I think essentially against Timber, when the enemy opens Timber, I think it's really important for your side of the team to have a lot of magic damage so you can actually burst him in the early game.
Probably mid.
And that's what
and 9 is definitely one of those players that has an enormous hero pool, so no matter what, he'll find some hero to get in the game as long as he thinks it's good for the game, so would not be surprised in the lane matchup.
And right now they have like a lot of magic damage.
If it was a C team, I think
it has to be at this
point.
point. You probably don't want to put Tiny against the
Timber. I think it's really important for your side of the team to have a lot of magic damage so you can actually burst him in the early game. And that's what what's your opinion?
9 is definitely one of those players that has an enormous hero pool, so
he's just better.
No matter what, he'll find some hero to get in the game as long as he thinks it's good for the game, so would not be surprised in the lane matchup.
If it was a C team, I think
it has to be at this point.
Even like Beast Coast, right? Beast Coast is first too bad. I guess mid Dark Mago always makes C lands, but I have seen no matter what. Even if he's playing,
and that's what's your opinion?
9 is definitely one of those players that has an enormous hero pool, so no matter what, he'll find some hero to get in the game as long as he thinks it's good for the game, so would not be surprised in the lane matchup.
If it was a C team, I
think it has to be at this point.
Even like Beast Coast, right? Beast Coast is first too bad. I guess mid Dark Mago always makes C lands, but I have seen no matter what. Even if he's playing,
and that's what's your opinion?
9 is definitely one of those players that has an enormous hero pool, so no matter what, he'll find some hero to get in the game as long as he thinks it's good for the game, so would not be surprised in the lane matchup.
If it was a C team, I
think it has to be at this point.
Even like Beast Coast, right? Beast Coast is first too bad. I guess mid Dark Mago always makes C lands, but I have seen no matter what. Even if he's playing,
that's what's your opinion?
9 is definitely one of those players that has an enormous hero pool, so no matter what, he'll find some hero to get in the game as long as he thinks it's good for the game, so would not be surprised in the lane matchup. Micro heroes.
If it was a C team, I
He has that, but he has a secondary play style, so he's basically frontline tanky heroes. He'll just like never buy Blink Dagger. He'll just like get like a Heart of Trosk at some point and keep scaling, just be this unkillable hero. And I think that's what he's trying to do in this game as well. Play the Brood, just be that frontline wall. battling against some heroes in the game. He has like too consistent absorb all the damage, so he's just late. He might push forward. He likes to stay like hit that, but I feel like he's much taller than that. Also, I like to play these heroes front line, just never lets go. So like he'll just like never a lot of space to play. Not only what he get like the target cross gives him a way to keep scaling, be this unkillable hero. And I think that's what he's trying to do in this game as well. Play really front line. Especially against some heroes in the game. He has like too consistent absorb all the damage, so he's just late. He might push forward. He likes to stay like hit that, but I feel like he's much taller than that. Also, I like to play these heroes front line, just never lets go. So like he'll just like never a lot of space to play. Not only what he get like the target cross gives him a way to keep scaling, be this unkillable hero. And I think that's what he's trying to do in this game as well. Play really front line. Especially against some heroes in the game. He has like too consistent absorb all the damage, so he's late. He might push forward. He likes to stay like hit that, but I feel like he's much taller than that. Also, I like to play these heroes front line, just never lets go. So like he'll just like never a lot of space to play. Not only what he get like the target cross gives him a way to keep scaling, be this unkillable hero. And I think that's what he's trying to do in this game as well. Play really front line. Especially against some heroes in the game. He has like too consistent absorb all the damage, so he's late. He might push forward. He likes to stay like hit that, but I feel like he's much taller than that. Also, I like to play these heroes front line, just never lets go. So like he'll just like never a lot of space to play. Not only what he get like the target cross gives him a way to keep scaling, be this unkillable hero. And I think that's what he's trying to do in this game as well. Play really front line. Especially against some heroes in the game. He has like too consistent absorb all the damage, so he's late. He push forward. He likes to stay like hit that, but I feel like he's much taller than that. Also, I like to play these heroes front line, just never lets go. So like he'll just like never a lot of space to play. Not only what he get like the target cross gives him a way to keep scaling, be this unkillable hero. And I think that's what he's trying to do in this game. Stay on the really front line. Especially against some heroes in the game. He has like too consistent absorb all the damage, so he's late. Push forward. He likes to stay like hit that, but I feel like he's much taller than that. Also, I like to play these heroes front line, just never lets go. So like he'll just like never a lot of space to play. Not only what he get like the target cross gives him a way to keep scaling, be this unkillable hero. And I think that's what he's trying to do in this game. Stay on the really front line. Especially against some heroes in the game. He has like too consistent absorb all the damage, so he's late. Push forward. He likes to stay like hit that, but I feel like he's much taller than that. Also, I like to play these heroes front line, just never lets go. So like he'll just like never a lot of space to play. Not only what he get like the target cross gives him a way to keep scaling, be this unkillable hero. And I think that's what he's trying to do in this game. Stay on the really front line. Especially against some heroes in the game. He has like too consistent absorb all the damage, so he's late. Push forward. He likes to stay like hit that, but I feel like he's much taller than that. Also, I like to play these heroes front line, just never lets go. So like he'll just like never a lot of space to play. Not only what he get like the target cross gives him a way to keep scaling, be this unkillable hero. And I think that's what he's trying to do in this game. Stay on the really front line. Especially against some heroes in the game. He has like too consistent absorb all the damage, so he's late. Push forward. He likes to stay like hit that, but I feel like he's much taller than that. Also, I like to play these heroes front line, just never lets go. So like he'll just like never a lot of space to play. Not only what he get like the target cross gives him a way to keep scaling, be this unkillable hero. And I think that's what he's trying to do in this game. Stay on the really front line. Especially against some heroes in the game. He has like too consistent absorb all the damage, so he's late. Push forward. He likes to stay like hit that, but I feel like he's much taller than that. Also, I like to play these heroes front line, just never lets go. So like he'll just like never a lot of space to play. Not only what he get like the target cross gives him a way to keep scaling, be this unkillable hero. And I think that's what he's trying to do in this game. Stay on the really front line. Especially against some heroes in the game. He has like too consistent absorb all the damage, so he's late. Push forward. He likes to stay like hit that, but I feel like he's much taller than that. Also, I like to play these heroes front line, just never lets go. So like he'll just like never a lot of space to play. Not only what he get like the target cross gives him a way to keep scaling, be this unkillable hero. And I think that's what he's trying to do in this game. Stay on the really front line. Especially against some heroes in the game. He has like too consistent absorb all the damage, so he's late. Push forward. He likes to stay like hit that, but I feel like he's much taller than that. Also, I like to play these heroes front line, just never lets go. So like he'll just like never a lot of space to play. Not only what he get like the target cross gives him a way to keep scaling, be this unkillable hero. And I think that's what he's trying to do in this game. Stay on the really front line. Especially against some heroes in the game. He has like too consistent absorb all the damage,
on the map.
Yeah.
9 goes down, infested by the Broodmother here, and another triple core conversion for Gaimin. This is why I was curious as to Ace going bottom, because I think this is what Gaimin want to do. If they feel like the Brood's hitting a brick wall, they just bring everybody up there and say, well, screw you. Now you have to fight our Broodmother. You can't do it. You're going to lose heroes on top of this tower eventually. And I guess Tundra refused to give it up as they bring the Tide in top. This game is really centered around these tier 1s.
Okay, so wherever the Tide goes, you just go somewhere else, right? Is that the game plan?
Yep, back to mid for Gaimin.
Yep.
They bring Tundra top. They shift both cores towards mid, get a glyph. Will Tundra try and defend this tower on top of everything else in this game? I don't think so. It's just gone. Get the deny? No.
Ace
Another
had
ace.
the last hit, and now with
Back
the
to top.
room, back to top lane.
This is really a mind game of an early game. You're trying to guess where these cores are going to go. The upside for Tundra is it's the Tide up here right now. So if you want to fight around 33, this is your chance to take that fight.
Quinn's going to make it a lot easier to kill this guy, though, thanks to the Whirling Death, cutting him down significantly, and there's no rotations. They're not going to use the Ravage. And they are just going to finish him off. Snaking, trying to go through the portal, but
Got
it's on top
Avalanche.
of the Avalanche, so double kill. And a great steal so far by Tofu. I mean, one of the ways he pushed back the Tidehunter from pushing in mid was that snap steal he had earlier, and now being able to grab Avalanche, he's got a lot of great options this game.
He's going to have a fantastic group game here because he has 3 cores that can all go in for him, plus a Bat Rider who is going to rush Blink and start the initiations.
Yeah.
These are the Dream Rubik games where Tundra are never going to see this hero. He's going to have free reign in the fights. He has great spells to steal. The Ravage might even be something he gets this game because 33 likes to go these frontline builds. Tidehunter's just not tanky. And the Snapfire has no teleport for this fight. If 9 wants to join this, I can see a world where Tundra try and take that if they're more set up. But goddamn, Gaimin have just run them around the map and have been the first responders in a lot of these fights.
Absolutely relentless. They continue to go on that top lane. Now Quinn is going to be challenging 33 as well. Not killing him per se, but just keeping him in check as he goes for the mid tower.
Tundra are going to smoke their Sven into this gank. This is such a huge committal for Skeeter, especially at this point in the game when you have max cleave up. You'd rather be hitting Ancient stacks right now, not trying to find heroes with no blink.
Yeah, and I think Quinn has a pretty decent idea of what's going on. Tofu and Ace are both rotating over to try and help out. 33, he wants to be in position to use Ravage, but they already decide this fight is just not it.
And this is why Timbersaw is a first phase hero right here. It is causing Tundra a world of problems. He's getting every power rune, taking the tier 1s. Just seems unkillable. Only with 2 points in armor, there's a reason this hero has shot up.
Yeah, and I think it shuts down 33's pool quite a bit, right? Because they were talking about on the panel how he's either going to be playing these micro heroes or he's going to be playing these tanky frontliners. He's not going to go Tidehunter that goes fast Blink Dagger. He wants to be big and bad and sitting in front for as long as possible. And Timbersaw is the antithesis to that right there.
I mean, you can't sit in front of Rizrak here.
No.
The man don't care. He's too mentally unstable.
It's true. He sees something that big and green, it just pisses him off and thinks it a tree.
It might be the case. Time to saw as Quinn takes top position here on the net worth chart. Tundra still looking for farm answers on the map. That's a Kiss's bottom.
Yeah, doesn't get the kill, and the Bat Rider actually completes the Blink Dagger thanks to staying alive.
The one thing we should think about this game, though, is Gaimin have built a decent amount of momentum. However, another aspect of Tundra that I think is interesting in this matchup that we saw particularly yesterday is their ability to stall games.
Yeah.
If you look at like the AUI Enchantress and Visage, I don't know if those are comparable to the Pugna here in terms of the lane cutting and being in tricky areas. He's going to do it on any hero, though, and you have 9 going for a Boots of Travel second. There is a stall mechanism here for Tundra. They're very good at it. I mean, look at Snaking on the top left of the map right now. He's dragging away towards a Roshan pit as a Tiny, cutting this on the back door from Gaimin. Do you want to go gank this Tiny? No.
Last though, to pull him out of position, he didn't use Firefly to make sure he put no damage on the Tidehunter so he wouldn't Kraken Shell off the disable.
This is a slow kill. Tundra could turn this.
Yeah, they are going to provide some reinforcements, and 33 might finally have an opportunity to use that Ravage as the team is here now.
You have the damage.
Yeah, they're trying to throw out all the stuns, take the Ravage for last, and now it finally gets let go to finish off Quinn.
Pugna Ward and Drain doing a lot there. Skeeter didn't even have to use ult. Still, you got to watch out for the turn on this fight from Gaimin as they are not happy you took down their centerpiece and want revenge.
Snake King turns around, does what damage he can. The hammer comes through, does land onto the Brood Mother.
Nice
Nice
Stormbolt.
Stormbolt as well with the drain happening. Doraggio has to get out. 33, so close to just being able to throw out one last bit of damage. The Gush wasn't up in time though, so he'll turn around and get Tofu instead. A great save there by Tundra. Multiple heroes coming together at the perfect time.
Didn't clean up some spiders. That fight gets dragged out. That is not the same type of skirmish we were looking at that top tier 1 where 33 goes down first. Tundra are ready to bring in the help. And you have to think about the overextensions here, especially with the Chronosphere for Doraggio. There's a Sven Warcry in this game. There's a Decrepify. There might be some auras from the Tidehunter later. Even Avalanche can interrupt you. A lot of disrupting mechanisms for you to not be able to put the damage into that Chronosphere here, especially when your Timbersaw is dead. Quinn is... He is your fulcrum in this lineup. He is your front line, he's your damage, he's your early game. The second the Timbersaw dies, that's just a questionable fight because you have to respect the EHP coming out from these big boys on Tundra's side, especially with Pugnaward and Life Drain behind them.
And 33's got to respect the Timbersaw. He picks up a Blink Dagger now. So pretty early for him typically.
Yeah, this is not his casual build, but he just feels he's going to need to be the initiating power here.
Skeeter slowed down, already half health with just a lot of pokes here from Gaimin Gladiators. They still have potential saves here of the drain from AUI. Great avalanche coverage though, and that hits the back line on top of the Sven, allowing them to chase down AUI as well. The Chakram pullback will finish him off.
You are spiders. You are absolutely getting turned into spiders here. The rundown is the scary part here for Tundra.
Yeah.
You don't have Ravage, you don't have your big God Strength to turn and take that fight. The chase down is infinite between the Bat, the Void, the Brood, they're all chase heroes here, except maybe Tofu. And I mean, he doesn't need to chase because he's just getting great spells. Another level 4 Avalanche stolen. It's time to fight. I guarantee you Tofu is like, yo guys, I am a god right now. Let's go on anything we can.
Yeah, that Aether Lens combined with the extra range from the Arcane Supremacy means that Avalanche is thrown out from miles away.
Still, Tundra's keeping even in this game relative cores-wise and continuing to rat out the sides of the map. It's really hard to build net worth advantage against this team, and it shows. They're going to find a little pick-off here on Celery.
Yeah, something to work with, something to keep more pressure on the bottom lane and start hitting that tier 2. They're going to lose Snake King over here. Skeeter shows up. Immediately storm bolted right back by Tofu.
There's a blink on 33. You got to be careful here if you're gaming. You don't want to get caught by this Ravage into Kisses combo.
You said, though, the cores are keeping up. It's the difference in the supports, and you could see that with the utility. Tofu with a 4-staff able to get himself away from any attempt by 33. AUI quickly brought down.
And this is the point of the game that Gaming's lineup becomes terrifying because the auras are online for Brood. The Greaves is very close on top of that pipe, and it's going to buff up heroes that go in and start shredding you between the Timber and the Faceless Void. Where does the damage come from if you're on Tundra's side right now? It's just got to be over time, and it's got to be big God strengths from Skeeter willing to join the early skirmishes around the tier 1s if you can get them there. Blink Done for Tiny helps because now you can toss heroes in. One of the reasons I think we're seeing this Tiny come back is if you go back to TI-11 where Tundra took it all, Tiny was one of their key heroes. A displacement hero that forced enemies to fight their auras instead of the other way around. There's a reason it's brought back for this team. It could be pretty pivotal here if you can bring a hero out of the gaming ball, remove the pipe Greaves advantage by just isolating the Timber, isolating the Faceless Void at the start of a fight. A lot of these team fights might just come on down to Snake King, and can you find the opening?
Sure.
Can you bear the brunt of this game on your shoulders? As 33 hammers mid.
Across, but finding nothing for it. Gaimin Gladiators all backed up to their triangle. Very curiously, what are they doing here?
I think they're feeling the smoke was coming down mid because 33 was pushing that tower so aggressively.
Oh,
This is like a classic maneuver, right? You push really aggressively solo like this, the enemies are generally going to feel, okay, the smoke is coming behind him. That's why he's playing up so far. It was actually a Jabate. Tundra went top, but they Jabated themselves because Gaming are happy to just defensively farm right now.
Yeah.
So both these smokes are probably going to yield nothing. They might catch 9 bottom. This is just a hard smoke to land. The lanes are not very favorable for Gaming right now because they hit on that high ground. That's the downside. Your next move becomes more difficult as Tundra have all the information in the world.
Octarine next for Quinn, while the Snapfire, the opposing mid, is going to go for BKB. Pretty necessary in this game, it feels like. just needs more survivability. Anything for them to just be able to push into a point where maybe I could see a world where 9 specifically is able to scale and give Tundra a better chance to turn this game around later.
He's gonna try and bait it out here. Tundra ready to take this.
Yeah, they are.
Stack
Tossed together with the God Strength. Skeeter laying into him, but the Chronosphere's gonna make
into it.
Nicky. They do have the Mortimer's Kisses raining down.
Oh,
That's gonna help out
33.
quite a bit, but 33 jumping into that one felt pretty bad, and he's gotta be careful of Quinn now. Gotta dodge this last Timber Chain Whirling Death. Attempting Ravage goes out, but it's too late. The damage is done, and the Watermelon falls.
That's the strength of Chrono this game. And this is why this Sven Void matchup just sucks. Because even if you don't kill Skeeter in that ult, it just ruins his team fight. And then Tundra gonna have to try and bail the Sven out. And if you cannot turn properly, it's just a disaster. Also, time dilation. Really wrecking what Tundra want to do here between the Pugna and the Tiny. Like, Snaking blinks in, he gets a combo, and he's dilated for the rest of the fight. Right. You're not getting a second jump, which is something you kind of need here, because that toss, it stacked the heroes for the Stormbolt, but it did not displace a hero from this gaming ball. And then they're happy to take that fight. Of course, if 33 does not blink into the Chrono there, it might look different, but still, the Void was BKB. So he's not saving the Sven in that scenario.
Yeah, no, sir.
That's just a tough fight for Tundra, and I think it's going to shift more weight onto these toss backs instead of the toss stacking that we saw there, because I really think you have to throw these heroes out of gaming's reach and make them jump into you to set the fight up for the Tidehunter.
Right.
33 is just way too squishy if he blinks in aggressively.
Top tower has fallen.
That'll be Octarine done for the Timbersaw, and Aegis for Duraccio here. It's a good Aegis Faceless Void game. Because the time dilation is so effective, because the burst mechanisms on Tundra are not guaranteed, Duraccio can just go in these fights first, play aggressively, use the Aegis without even popping BKB and be a menace.
Nice catch. Big kill if they can get it. The Force Staff makes things a little bit more annoying, though, and Tofu gets away as a result. And now they have to just run for their lives. As all of Gaimin Gladiators look to punish, quickly sandwiching this area. They'll find AUI 2000. He's definitely dead, and still a chance for Snaking to get caught as well. As, yeah, he's going to be finally lasso pulled back in. Duraccio will pound him to dust, or I guess gravel.
Very difficult game for the Tundra supports. They've just not found a lot of momentum here as they're combining for a 1-11. And Tundra's happy to play Sacrificial on their 4 and 5 like this if the cores get fat. They're used to this type of style because they, especially since they have some tanky frontliners, they have a Warcry, they have a little utility coming out from their cores, but it does hurt their playstyle when you can't get these 4-staff, Glimmers, Yules up that they really want to accelerate to here so the dilation isn't as effective and you get multiple rounds of spells off.
Right.
That is going to be a downside for Tundra going in these later fights, especially with the net worth Tofu and Celery have found. It's going to be a BKB Bat Rider, and I mean, whatever the hell you want Rubik here. They're just going to have free reign. There's too much frontline.
So much in this game.
What does he even go next? He already has Blink, Aether, Force.
Maybe an Aeon Dish just to make sure he doesn't die at the start of the fight.
Aeon's not bad. I wouldn't mind a Yules with the extra cast range. You can Yules the Tiny on the jump. You can Yules a target to disjoint the initiations.
I wouldn't mind being an Aghanim Scepter considering how many good spells he's stolen.
I think Ags is fine too.
Though I guess they're... Can you turn off the Stormbolt, Ags? You can, right?
I think so, yeah. It's like an auto cast now. Yeah, even on Sven you have the choice, so you should have it on Rubik too.
Okay.
And Drawcher's just going to force the high ground. 2.5 minutes left on this Aegis. You have tossbacks here. So you got to be careful you don't get pushed in really deep into some chain stun. That's the nice thing for Tundra, as we also saw in that, what was it, almost 2-hour game, the high ground defense.
Yeah.
Their high ground
They're
defense
really good at doing that.
I mean, it's warmed up at this tournament for sure. That was a very particular set of circumstances to achieve that. However, I'm sure they have already theory crafted what this game is going to look like. And their cores are staying up there. This is not where you want to be with this Sven. You generally would like to be ahead. I think Skeeter's also had a rough game. Not a lot of ancient stacks for him to clear through. Not a huge gap for him to create over these other cores. It's going to be tough to find the burst later.
Yeah, so if you approach the high ground, you're getting AoE Gush spammed. You've got some other small nukes that could be thrown around from the Snapfire and the Pugna. There's a possibility of you getting tossed back, and soon there's going to be a Harpoon for extra relocation abilities for Tundra. So yeah, that does sound pretty annoying to push high ground into.
I think that's what Tundra's banking on right now. This Ags is designed to help them stall the game, go even later, try and reach those Snapfire talents where their real late game damage is going to come online, and abuse Warcry in the late game situations. Just save the heroes in the Chrono between that and Decrep. You are going to need nullifiers at a certain point in this gaming lineup. They're not being built. You're going for Hex on Ace and just more damage on Dyrachyo. So those defensive spells are going to be good for Tundra for a while here. I just don't know if your scale's actually better. It's a damn good Faceless Void game. You don't really have a hard Chrono save. You know, you have soft ones, but nothing. No Wyvern, no Shadow Demon, no Naga Song. I can't help but feel like if this Faceless Void is 6-slotted, this game becomes very scary for you.
I definitely agree if you are on like an open field, you know, somewhere out on the map. But I could see a way Tundra, no matter how late the game goes, if they're sitting on their high ground, I think they could always win a fight.
I mean, you're back to the old argument of, well, we don't know how to win, but we know how to not lose.
Yeah.
And now the onus is on you. You figure out how to win.
You know what? It's a good way in a war of mental attrition to start off a series, you know, just wearing them down.
Oh, you think that's what they went for? Like, all right, guys, we're not going to win game 1. We're going to make them so mad that their frustration will win us game 2 and 3.
And then even if we lose the series, when we come back in the grand finals,
yeah,
they're going to be like, oh, these guys again.
2 seconds on the Aegis here. Where'd he go?
Chaining the stuns, the toss back into the Ravage, but they did not chain it properly. Something about that toss back and the Ravage hitting at the same time.
I think the Stormhammer Ravage overlapped. He also got tossed and hit by the Ravage, so he was stuck in the air for a while.
Yeah, and he didn't. They didn't position the Meteor Hammer correctly as a result of the Ravage stopping the toss.
They gave it away. Level 2 Ravage here for Token.
Oh, they did? Oh, no.
That is not the spell you want to be giving this Aether Lens Blink Rubik in this game. Especially with yours on cooldown, God Strength on cooldown. If I'm gaming, I might consider a high ground push here. You have DD on Dyrachyo as well. It's such a big window.
Big screw up there from Tundra.
That should be a guaranteed Faceless Void kill. 100%. That is just miscommunication and lack of patience, maybe, as this game has been frustrating for them.
You know, if I'm Tofu, I'm thinking about buying a shard. Just because I have the Ravage, that would give you tendrils, wouldn't it? Jump forward,
true, yeah.
AUI. Imagine tendrils with that kind of range.
That is a well worth obs there from Celery. Finds the tiny pickoff. That's going to open the high ground even more. He's their tossback stall mechanism here. DD's going to get some value.
A lot of value as they're hitting both mid and bottom lane, so that gush spamming is a little bit more annoying. But we did see earlier the 9 smoked out, or maybe shadow bladed out actually. Didn't notice that he had that.
Yeah,
but
look at this build, by the way. Manta Shadow Blade. Oh, this is like, don't worry guys, we're going to win in 40 minutes. And I'm going to push lanes and farm camps with Manta Snapfire illusions. Or at least scout some areas so he can't get found. That's why there's an early gem on Quinn right now. He's trying to hunt him.
Sec AC, not the item. Guess it's a little too cold in the Gaimin Gladiators booth right now. It's a good problem to have, I guess.
Too cold or too hot?
Or maybe not. Maybe things are heating up in this series. They're certainly looking pretty good. 21-7, 10,000 net worth lead. It looks like they're finally ready to go. They're going to be taking on Tormentor. We're soon going to have Butterfly on Dyrachyo, and it's with level 20. If he gets to level 25, the damage shrug-off is going to be incredible.
Void is getting up there, and he's going to be a big problem. I still think this matchup is so Void favored in the late game versus Sven. Just not a good way for Skeeter to deal with Chrono. Especially when you're up against this time lock Mjolnir magic damage right click hero. That's why the Void matchup's so good. He just doesn't necessarily care about the Warcry. And then you get backtrack, you get evasion. It's so hard for the Sven to jump you and burst you unless he's really far out ahead.
They're so desperate to catch somebody from Tundra.
And look at the line just instantly drawn from 33. It's like, get the hell out, guys. I'm going to push the map, stall this game. We're going to rat him up some more. Good luck snaking.
He's got a glimmer, but there's a lot of AoE damage coming in from Quinn. And he also has a gem.
And that's Hex done for Ace as well. So the lockdown, the detection, the scalability, all coming online for Gaimin.
Now, Celery was the one person who wasn't there for that top area. He's going to go for a lasso pullback, hoping his team will arrive in time, and they do. Because of his BKB, he stays alive, and now Ace, Quinn, they're going to try and chase down 9 first, while Skeeter's going to be kited during his God Strength. There goes that Ravage put to use. Chain stun all over the place. He cannot get anything off.
He had BKB TP potential if the Void wasn't there. Maybe just not expecting the Ravage. Now he gives up level 4 Stormhammer. Just not enough rat action for Tundra to stall this game. The start was too slow, and the auras are building up for Gaimin. It's prime time to force this high ground. Roche began.
Yeah, Quinn knew somebody's around here. Celery was doing it earlier. He doesn't manage to kill AUI, but he'll just stop him from split pushing another way.
And he has early bots as well, so he can just join this fight.
Yeah.
He's just making sure there's nobody cutting back here. He can refill his mana. A very patient push by Gaimin. Don't have to commit the chrono here. You can just hit the buildings. Well, he will commit the chrono. I guess he's had enough of AUI.
BKB to get rid of the Avalanche stun and goes to work. Kills AUI 2000. Now he's going to kill 33. Oh no! The Ravage actually goes off. 33 able to get away. But Quinn, he's going to show up with the Shivas. That'll clip him.
I mean, Ravage is irrelevant in this game if your Sven is not hitting people during it.
No, certainly.
These have just been completely desynced for Tundra in this game 1. Not finding much momentum in this game. 7 kills in 30 minutes. And it looks like that's just kind of it. I don't know if they have the damage to punch through Shiva's Octarine level 20 Timbersaw with the extra magic resist talent. He is 14-1. I do not think this is a hero Tundra are going to give Gaimin next time.
Or at least maybe try and hard counter it a little bit better.
Yeah, their answers were not convincing. They're going to go for the God Strength play with the Cookie Chain Stun.
Yeah, they do manage to get it pretty nicely with the Avalanche over the top. They kill Ace. Now a lasso pulling in 9. 9 still on the high ground, but Dyrachyo will make short work. The bump back onto Snake King to ensure Dyrachyo stays in melee range of that support. Now he jumps onto AY 2000, while 33 going to be targeted by Quinn. Skeeter doing what he can to challenge Dyrachyo, but against that Butterfly, he really just cannot guaranteed put damage in.
And the time dilations. Just destroying them on the backside of these fights. It counters so much of the reinitiation power that this Tundra lineup wants to have. There's the toss
back in with the tendrils with a follow-up stun. Dyrachyo finally falls.
That's a big kill to get. 2,000 gold for that streak.
And now Quinn might be caught as well. The Harpoon pulling him back in. Slows him down with the Chakra. Maybe Skeeter needs to be a little bit careful here. They're going to go for the kill. Quinn turns around, does what he can, but he falls before he can get the return kill.
That was another streak kill.
Yeah, that's another. So they just got 4,000 gold off of the kill.
That's a way to come back in this game, I guess. It does cost you a tiny buyback, and you lose 2 sets of racks here. So I don't know if Gaimin are exactly sad about that entire exchange, but a glimmer of hope.
But maybe they get Roshan as well.
I think you have to force it here if you're Tundra.
Yeah,
you absolutely have to just run to this pit, scout it out. You have God Strength back up in 10. Use the Tide Hunter buyback there.
One of those situations Gaimin Gladiators are going to look back on and say, okay, that was an example of us being a little bit overzealous. We could have just backed up and done Roshan after getting 2 lanes.
That's the type of thing that can throw a game.
Yeah.
Might not come back to bite him here, but definitely a little lack of discipline. And they gave up Gem too, so these Glimmers become better for Tundra. They maybe get an extra keyword on the map. And this is Aegis plus a cheese. Probably, I'll see who takes this. Honestly, I could see a world where you get 9 Aegis if Skeeter feels like his second life is not as valuable, but says no, I am the carry. Give it to me.
Yeah, maybe if 9 was a little bit higher level and a little bit closer to that physical damage build. But as it stands...
Yeah, he still needs his level 20 here.
Yeah.
Big deal for Tundra to try and unlock some more physical burst and use their chain stuns effectively, because that's the way they're taking the fight. Tossing people back into a Stormhammer, into an Ava, into a Ravage, into a Tendril. Shard is up for 33 now, and he's working towards Hex. When we go back to the strength of this Tundra lineup, it is kind of the high ground defense. But tossing someone into a chain stun, the way you got around that if you're gaming was having tanky frontliners you didn't want to toss in, or an Aegis carrier. Yeah, taking Aegis away, it's probably bigger that you didn't give it to gaming than what it does for you here on the side of Tundra. Because now you just got rid of 5 minutes where gaming probably would have gone high ground for that last Rax.
There was also the aspect of ratting like 2 lanes at once with Broodmother, but now it's just 1 lane to focus on. A lot easier for Tundra to set up.
Absolutely.
A lot of awkward situations here for Gaimin Gladiators, but, you know, gold solves all woes, and maybe just raw net worth will allow them to be able to bulldoze through those buildings.
It's a tough call. If you try and force this 5v5 on this bottom lane for the Megas and that fight goes bad, then Tundra are really back in it.
Yeah.
Whereas you can wait here, you can wait this Aegis out, buy yourself a little more time, get a next set of items up, make this Void and Timber potentially get closer to the level 25 talents. I don't know if they're going to get there without a one-team fight.
So maybe they just wait for a pickoff like this one.
Yeah, this helps. AUI will get caught and evaporates.
And they stole Life Drain. That's great.
Level 2. Pretty decent spell here.
Dropped a Sentry. Doesn't spot Skeeter in time. He is too damn fast.
All right, Skeeter has Silver Edge. This is another initiation mechanism, also something that can break some of the passives here in the reactive armor. Maybe you break the time lock if you get chronoed in return. I guess you're not, in theory, taking as much damage potentially, but it's more just him being on the front line, so when you go in and you toss or you ravage, the hits instantly start coming.
Yeah, you gotta kill something, you gotta kill it really fast in this situation.
It has to be a blink. The blink of an eye, and you make a hero disappear. Gaimin do get these lanes in.
You know what's funny? Some of that's just going to come back to RNG because, again, the butterfly on Terraccio, but also closing in on 25. So you're going to have lots of chances to dodge damage.
I mean, all these level 25 talents for Gaimin are insane. They have to be some of the best in the game. The 20% backtrack for Void, absolutely massive. The level 25 BAT talent for Brood can also be a huge one.
Yeah.
Not with utility Brood, but it is a crazy talent, right? And the double chakra for Timbersaw. I mean, you really can't ask for some better late game talents here on Gaimin side.
Yeah, that's true.
Continue to scale in the experience department.
9 does get his level 20. And did he complete Silver Edge as well? Yeah, so he's got the crit combined with the heavy shots of the little Shredder.
It's a lot more damage. Can't underestimate it. Titan Sliver to buff it up even more here on the Universal Hero base damage. Not as easy to just take the head-on fight in Gaimin, particularly if the Bat does not find the initiation and the Tiny does. That's the big question. Celery has BKB. In theory, it's an uncountered BKB here. His jump should be pretty reliable, and I think it's how Gaimin want to start all these fights. Displace a hero out of Tundra's ball and make them go into the Chrono and the Timber waiting.
Look at this blind read that Gaimin Gladiators
so good.
Wrong.
They have the hex.
Meanwhile, Tundra are going to be able to jump onto Terraccio and burst him down. Look at Snaking repositioning to ensure the toss. Great stuff there from Tundra. And it was at the same time that Quinn and Celery were certain somebody from Tundra was going to be ratting the other side of the map.
That's just a great read. Great observer wards as well to scout this. And Tundra find a huge opening here. 80 seconds, no Void. He has no buyback either. You might just walk down and get a lane here if they're really confident. Aegis running out in 45. They still stack those stuns very heavily, though, which is a bit concerning when you're going for these single target chains. There was so overwhelming it didn't matter. It's something you're going to have to think about if a save comes through, if some random disjoint, someone gets lassoed. That stun overlapping might come back to bite you. Now Tundra going to look for more. 50 seconds, no Void. Ooh, Celery, you dodged fate there, my friend. Skeeter will get the Timbersaw TP.
Now they start heading back. The Aegis is going to expire, though. Gaimin Gladiators with Terraccio coming back up in 30 seconds. That does come to question again. Like, now the Aegis is gone on Tundra. Are you going to try and push high ground, or are you just going to wait for Roshan? I have a feeling it's probably just going to be Rosh.
Tundra keep cutting this lead, slowly but surely. This is one of those teams that will not go away. You have to beat them.
Yeah.
They are going to make you beat them. As another move gets dodged here, the game continuing to get stalled. That net worth lead, once up to 22K, is down to 14-13 here.
Oh, nice. Mindbreaker for 9. Little Shredder damage really amping up now.
And you know what Gaimin are thinking about these combos right now, because they are really trying to itemize to deal with them. You have double aesthetic cap for the Timber and the Brood here.
Okay.
Not an item that you see a lot of times because it's a very defensive item. Like if you're snowballing, you're winning, you'd rather go for more damage or aggressive potential.
That is so unfortunate. No MKB for Skeeter. That'd be really awkward if he doesn't have his MKB during this Roshan respawn time.
Yeah, this might come back to bite him. 20 minutes on the death.
Let's see if it's a fast
Rosh.
Rosh. He wouldn't have it.
He got Blink off. Will it matter?
Cap helping out a little bit here. The team, Forstaff trying to help him. Ravage could cover some of this, but Duracio's going to be able to get the 5-man Sonos here. And he starts laying damage into 9. Skater's going to be next, lasted up almost immediately as the Chronosphere fails. And that's going to be 3 dead, AY and 33. Neither one, I think, is going to get out alive. As Gaimin Gladiators just going to go for gusto here. Run down as many heroes as possible, even through the buybacks are coming out, because one buyback will never come. That's going to be Skeeter. The Sven won't be here for this fight. Tundra going to have to push through it anyway. Snaking, covering himself with the avalanche, toss back all the way, almost into the fountain. Duraccio daring it. Rod of Atos. He needs to be able to start backing up now. Kiss is going to be return fire on Tofu, pushing Tundra into their fountain. Left with only 3 heroes alive. They have to form a defense for the next minute.
And that blink from Quinn was so damn clutch. It made them chase so much farther. You have to expend your blink and your harpoon just to get a couple Sven hits in, which just sets up the game-ending chrono potentially from Duraccio. And those level 25 talents are now online. Double Chakram, backtrack for the Faceless Void. These fights just became even harder.
Another lasso, Tendril trying to chain it, but they're just going for a Bat Rider. Meanwhile, they're losing more and more heroes with no buyback. Diebacks all around for Tundra, and Gaimin Gladiators will finally close out game number 1.
I mean, that was getting a little spooky there. Tundra's ability to drag these games back is astounding, but that is just too much of a hill to climb, especially versus the best team in the world right now, as Gaimin still had a lot of scale left in the tank with these talents, with another Roshan coming up that you know they were going to be in position to contest with that Chronosphere. That's just a hard game if your lanes don't go a little bit better for Tundra, and I go back to those tier 1 maneuvers. I just feel like they're getting outmoved on the map. Like, Gaimin are the ones making the plays, moving their course to the lanes, outnumbering Tundra in the early game, and they're the ones constantly responding. Okay, if you want to play a defensive oriented style and you want to stall for that late game where you think you're going to beat them, I think that's one thing. But giving up this much in the early game to the Timbersaw and the Brood, which are just going to take huge advantage of that space, is another. And I don't think we're going to see this Timbersaw game too. I think it caused way too many problems here in the early game. In the mid game, 19-2 for Quinn here. No answer in sight.
Yeah, an incredible performance by him. We've heard Avery's thoughts on the draft. Let's go ahead and head back to the panel and see what they thought about the post-game of 1.
Well, I thought that things were going to go a little bit better for Tundra, especially in the laning phase. I thought Tidehunter's a very reliable hero. I've never seen a Tidehunter look that vulnerable before. He was not able to stand in front of anything, and then that just started the domino effect, it seemed, Fear.
Yeah, I was very confused as well, because he went for the Meteor Hammer build, and I think where it all went downhill for 33 in that game was he TP'd to mid to deal with Quinn, who was pressuring, diving, actually, the Sven, but he didn't get anything out of that, so he stopped farming. Then at some point, the Timber just was always there in front of him, and he just decided to go for a Blink Dagger because he felt he wasn't tanky enough, and it just felt at that point nobody was tanking enough. Sven was getting chased all across the map as well, and Quinn just had one hell of a game on the Timbersaw.
And then forget about even being tanky. It also seemed like no one was able to do damage. Every single time, even if a chrono wasn't perfect, KP, it seemed like, oh, okay, Tundra, now it's their turn to return fire. They would just like tap them and be like, please leave.
I think it's a combination of 2 things. One is, if I'm playing the Tide in that game, there's not really a good team item that I can build. Like Pipe, not really good. There's like a Timbersaw. Greaves, I don't really want to get it. So on GG, the Brood is getting all these team items, so the team fight is already naturally going to be in GG's favor in that sense. And also the fact that this was a 5-pick Timbersaw, right? But I feel like it wasn't sufficiently countered. They picked like the Snap and the Pugna for it, but the other 3 heroes don't really counter it, like the Sven and the Tide. And also we never really saw a Kisses kill on the Timbersaw this game. And the one time they did kill the Timbersaw, it wasn't even with the Kisses. So I think they really need to be really nerdy about countering the hero if they want to play against it.
I mean, I feel like the Snapfire's lane, number 1, like when he dove and he didn't get the kill, that was really bad. Like he used all his mana and then he missed like a creep wave that resulted in like Quinn getting a really good trade. And I feel like I also didn't really like the itemization of Snap. I feel like when you are playing against like Timber, I can kind of see like Axe maybe like working. Like I see only like Chris Luck actually doing that build. Like you have like Tiny, you have Tide. I feel like there's a lot of potential if you get an early Axe. you can actually try to burst the Timber that way. Because most of the Timbers, they don't really get any magic resist item early. They're just getting their greedy core items, so they're very vulnerable to that heavy magic damage that you're picking the snap, right, to counter the Timber. So that I feel like has to happen once or twice in the early game to make it worth it.
I think also, sure, we have kisses, but there wasn't really like a long lockdown for the kisses. So sometimes teams will maybe pick like a clockwork, something like that, which is not like reliably, like doesn't reliably counter him from timbering away, like chaining away, but it's like something